What do you think of my new belt? Obviously it's fashionable. Imagine how good this would look paired with a well-fitted suit. Antonio from Real Men Real Style can't keep up with this channel. This is the place men can come for good fashion advice. This belt obviously covers the first two F's of fashion: fit and form. It fits well, and obviously it looks good. Today we're going to cover the third F of fashion: function. We're going to test this out, see how well it functions. The way this works, you take a battery-powered piece of equipment, specifically Husky, pop the battery out, pop the battery in there, pop this out. You no longer have the weight of the battery in your tool. You just have this cord to deal with. This belt is not mine. It belongs to my friend Dan from the channel DLWoregon. He let me borrow this to test it out, see how I like it. I'm not trying to peddle these. There's no affiliate links. We're just trying it out. Let's take this out to the brush, see how well it works. The first problem I see with this, or maybe I should say I foresee with this, what happens when you're going through the brush and you run into a yellow jacket nest? The yellow jackets come up at you, you drop your saw and run. Well, you got a cord hooked onto it and you get tangled up in the brush. Now you can't go anywhere and the yellow jackets get you. You might think that sounds silly. Who's going to drop their saw? Most people would take their saw with them. You don't know me very well, do you? Yeah, most of the time I take the saw. Maybe that's silly. Probably wouldn't happen. I chose this brushy spot because a concern I had was this cord was going to get tangled up in the brush. So far it hasn't at all. My concern now is I'm going to hit it with the saw. It's long enough it could easily reach it. It has this Velcro strap on it. I wonder if that could be put on here. I think the cord is longer than I need it to be. That just makes it worse. What if I do it the other way? I don't think that helps either. Maybe if I put it back here. He didn't give me the instructions with this thing. Not that I would read them anyway. That might actually help. Okay, that's enough. I've done enough to make my decision. If I was doing something like cutting firewood, I don't know that I would bother with a contraption like this, but doing this kind of work for long periods of time, this thing is a win. To have the weight of the battery here instead of out here on the saw where I have to maneuver it around and hold it up with my arms all day makes a big difference. Although in my case, I don't know that the problem is so much the weight, but the short stubby bar, having to bend over all the time. I don't know how you East Coast guys do it. I do miss my long bar. I really thought this cord was going to be in the way. It was going to get tangled up. But after I strapped it back here, I forgot about it most of the time. There was one point over there where it kind of got hung up a little bit on something. I just had to move it. But that was the only time, the whole time. It wasn't a problem. The weight being off the saw well outweighed that one event, which was really a non-event. The cord kind of follows the path of my arm. I don't really know if that means anything or not, but maybe that's partly why it's out of the way. Whenever the subject of battery-powered equipment comes up, there are some people who get emotional about that, and they have to mansplain us about lithium mining. We've already heard about lithium mining. Do you really know that lithium mining is worse for the environment than what the petroleum industry does, any other mining industry, or even agriculture? I don't think you know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. And I bet the talking heads and the media outlet you subscribe to and follow don't really know either. Beware the Kool-Aid you drink. The chainsaw is only half the story. Look how light that is. Let's look at the other half of the story. Aha. That solves the bending over problem. The pole saw may just be the way to go. As expected, I like having the weight here instead of having to hold the weight and maneuver it out here. As is not expected, this cord is still not getting in the way. There were a couple times where I switched hands where it didn't really get in the way, but I had to manage the cord. It wasn't really a problem though. I almost like this pole saw better for thinning than I do the little chainsaw, just because I don't have to bend over. One of the things I don't really like about this is the trigger. There's a delay from the time I hit the trigger and the chain starts spinning. And this just doesn't have the acceleration, and it's not as responsive as the chainsaw. If this was more like the chainsaw in that regard, this might be the better thinning tool, just because I don't have to bend over. We West Coast guys just aren't that into bending over. I know some guys are into that. That's okay. Everybody has their thing. But as far as this thing goes, I would say it's a win, at least for doing this kind of work. I would put links to these, but at least for now, I'm trying to stay somewhat unbiased when it comes to forestry tools. But I'm sure these are on Amazon. You could search for them. I don't even know what this thing's called. Maybe there's a name on it somewhere. Battery Belt Flexi. You can do a search for that. The chainsaw is 350i, Husqvarna 350i, I think. And this is Husqvarna Combi Switch 330iK. Thank you, Dan from DLWoregon, for letting me try out this equipment. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. Whenever you want these back, I can bring them back to you. I may take another trip to the ranch this fall for a little while, so sooner might be better than later if you really need these. For those of you who might be disappointed that I'm not trying to sell anything on this video, one thing I've learned is you just can't please everybody. But that doesn't mean I can't try. I'm a giver. In the description, I'll put a link to the Camel City Mill American-made merino wool socks I've been wearing. I've been wearing these for almost a year now. They're the most comfortable, well, not the same pair. I just mean this type of sock and the brand. I do change my socks every day. Although I've heard with merino wool, it's okay to wear them several days in a row. But these are the most comfortable socks I've ever had. They keep my feet cool and dry in hot weather. I'm looking forward to trying out their thicker winter socks. I got a pair of those, a couple pairs of those. I'm looking forward to the cool weather so I can try those out. They're supposed to keep your feet toasty warm in cold weather. Yeah, they cost a little bit more than, okay, significantly more than just cheap socks. But does it really make sense to spend a whole bunch of money on your boots and then go cheap on socks? The socks are the part that are actually touching your feet. And with their tough Ironside merino wool, they guarantee them for 10 years. It supports American made, it helps support the channel. They've been really good to the channel. And it helps support your feet too.